Greetings and salutations, internet dwellers. Happy Juneteenth. Wish I could say this was something special, but I always got that Juneteenth flair. Love playing with the patterns. Very reminiscent of what my mom did when I was a kid. She used to take a lot of these fabrics and use them to adorn these African heads. Now I kind of play with the patterns, and it just becomes particularly relevant around certain times of the year. But continue to be free. But we're going to be discussing something similar. I mean, there's overlapping themes with the history of Juneteenth, um, with the Iranian situation taking place. Um Iran being targeted by Israel and the U.S., a civilization older than anything Europe can think of. It's just, the civilization is so old. Um, Hitler and all of the white supremacist West, they wanted to take credit for everything that came from it. We call them backwards. Like we did the same shit when we went into Iraq. Call all of them backwards. They don't use plumbing, even though these are the civilizations that got the Europe out of their dark ages. Um, and now it's just like, you're being called a bigot for being against going against Iran. They're calling you anti-Semite. It is a ridiculous. Well, to be fair, a good amount of the people I run into who are vocal about their opinion, they, like during the beginning of, after this phase of the war started on October 7th, there were some people who were simping for Israel, and they had all these excuses. It was very emotional. They were like still reeling. They made it look, it made 10/7 and the 9/11, and some people, it was like teachers who I was surprised by, just a lot of Israel simps, people who've been there. um I haven't been there to, like, I'd be one of the people who they sneer at. Norm Finkelstein, he talks about Israel. He said he compares it to 1950s America. Like, it's just like openly racist. I've seen videos. It was Abby Martin. She's from the Bay Area too. She went out to Israel and showed how people view Palestinians, like back in the 2000 and odds. Iranian people want freedom from their oppressive theocratic government. Yeah, and so did Iraq. They hated their government. Saddam Hussein, when he was working with the CIA, he was the most evil person in the world. He was very oppressive. Um, then once he started to break away from their dictates, starting to turn stuff into from private into public, state owned, where the money would go to the people, that's when he became a problem. And yeah, if we're going to be trying to stop any oppressive theocratic government, let's start with America. um, it's just like it's so comical. They want us to look at another country like we don't got problems here. We should start here. This is when we talk about enemies, foreign and domestic. Our domestic enemies are worse, and I love the Iranian people. I got more in common with them than I do with my government, and their government has more in common with my government than I do with them. But yeah, it's just never, never ever talk about how we're going to go and bring democracy. We're worried about an oppressive government anywhere else. If you live in America, any of the English speaking majority countries in the settler colonial states, Israel, uh, Canada, Australia. Don't talk about anybody else's government. That's how this virus spreads, and we see we're not we don't give you what is promised. So America is just like, it started off as a corporation. It was like, oh, we have this religious right to this land. Look at, they have an oppressive theocratic government. Look at, their cannibals over there. They got cannibals over there. They're eating each other. Right? We're gonna bring these Western values over there, and we're gonna help them. And then the first uh, pilgrimage to set off to the states, they went to cannibalism because they didn't know how to live off the land. Then they were taught how to live off the land, and then they killed the people who taught them. Then they put up all these uh, 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 grocery stores. You got fast food everywhere. A lot of this poison. You should be better off just figuring out how to forage and grow your own shit. But they make it so convenient. You got all this food everywhere, and then uh, uh, these super civilized European people, they got the highest rate of cannibalism in cities. Like when they're walking distance from uh, a fucking grocery store. So it's like that's always it's the pointing to this other people saying that they have an oppressive, theocratic, whatever kind of government. That's none of America's business. America's issues are home. And it's just like Europe. That goes for all of y'all. Like, let these other countries figure their shit out. They're doing a lot better without us. I mean, if we want to be a part of the new future that does not include the American government, they do not represent me. I'm a Turtle Islander. I want to get along with the BRICS nations. I've been trying to join BRICS for years. I want some of that currency. I want to get away from the currency with the slave traders on it. My currency is gonna have Nat Turner. That'll be our BRICS currency. You can throw in John Brown. The people who are actually fighting the enemy. Because a lot of this shit we're seeing repeated right now. Keep in mind, America was always it was a corporation. This was always a business venture, right? We have a revolution. We get rid of the king and queen. They're no longer valid leadership. That makes no sense. So we're gonna be run by the richest man in the world at the time, who was George Washington, richest man in America, at least. Colonizer, slave trader, vile human being. What about him had leadership? He was the richest person in the world, right? And it's just like, you see, I mean, George, they got rid of King George and they had President George. It's like, it's continuity, because when you're just run by the richest person, I mean, money is gonna influence whatever you do. Europe always had money. I mean, there was our bank is run, our Federal Reserve is run by a European banking cartel. We do not print. We are not in control of our own currency. There's a private corporation. Corporations run our government, and that's how we keep continuity of governance. Even though we say we're no longer a part of this empire, we're a branch of our own, and a lot of it is to offset liability, because England was viewed as the scourge of the world. Gandhi just exposed them. So it was like they couldn't control that way anymore. They can't be the bad guy. So they use us, and we use the same pretext they used when they were still on land. We got the same narrative. We got the same. Oh, we're worried about those Muslims in that country, so we're going to go and bomb them to save them from their government. And then like if those Muslims came over here because we're bombing them, we care about them so much, we start committing hate crimes to the groups that we are targeting with our bombs at a higher rate. So 9/11 happened. We were like, look at those savages, but they have an oppressive theocratic government. We have to overthrow it, and then like their lives would be better. And it's just like we bomb them, kill them, and really erasing their history, which is like I said, it'll put all of Europe's to shit. That's why Rome burned down the Library of Antiquities, which they also called the Library of Alexander. The Greeks did, but it was just like this ancient library with texts from these civilizations that uh, uh, go far beyond the Gregorian calendar's ability to measure. Um, for you go back 55,000 years ago, you wouldn't see one Caucasian in the entire world. They didn't exist. Uh, but it's just like we're expressly told that Black people should be commemorative of stuff like Juneteenth. But I think it's a reminder of that white people, y'all need to know y'all on the same boat. The way slavery just evolved to include more white people. It always included them. You had the Irish; they weren't considered white till like the 1930s or 40s or some shit. They realized it's a numbers game. I've got to okay, they're white now. And then, Boston is a testament to those people forgetting their history and just perpetuating the system that kept them down. But that's another story. But yeah, you have to be able to see the struggle that those overcoming these adversities have to go through. Because like, yeah, we're still in the struggle. I hate to burst your bubble, but we don't do something, we're in trouble. Nate, Alexandria. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Library of Alexander in Alexandria. But it's the Library of Antiquities. They have different names for it, but I like the Antiquities because Alexander and Alexandria didn't come along until the Greeks, and it was existing long before then. And then when they burnt that shit down, and then a lot of the Kemetic folks that were around for the super ancient civilizations, they ended up fleeing. And this is what history they're referring to when they talk about the Jews who had to leave that area, but they were Black as shit. A lot of them ended up in Timbuktu, and that was like one of the largest libraries in the world. That's where all of the Greek philosophers went to get their information. You had the world's richest man was based out of there, Mansa Musa. He had all this gold. He went on a pilgrimage to Egypt. He made gold worthless because he was just giving it out so much. It was just like the market was flooded with it. And he did that. It was, like when the Moors had power, they built libraries. They didn't burn them, right? They educated people. That's why they went to Europe and they got the Europeans out of their dark ages, taught them how to wash their asses and such like that. And the Aspera, Manzamis, that was in 1200. His Hajj. What are you talking about? Mansa Musa? Yeah, I guess that was um, in the AD, wasn't the BC era. But like, yeah, like the lineage that he came from, they were in Kemet before it became Egypt, and Israel and Jordan and all those states. Sudan, it was bigger than Egypt is now. The lines we know as that separate the world are Sykes and Picot's lines. It's lines designed by colonizers. And they set it up intentionally to cause rifts between the populations that they want to divide and conquer. Mansa Musa, Mansa Miss. You got a Twitch? I think I'm twitching right now. Yeah, it's on because I'm streaming on two different platforms and I'm like not even noticing. Um I do have comments maybe. Live chat. It's just yeah. I can't see them if they're there. But yeah, I got Twitch going too. Malawi. You're from the island. Didn't they all the spell check is sketchy. So Malawi, I thought that was what you call it. Uh the not near New Zealand island. Or is it the people, Malawi? Yeah, the people are Malawi. And then the island is New Zealand. Something to that effect. Is that what we're talking about? I mean, because you want to get into just the shit stirring, the Western shit stirring. It was a documentary. It was John Pilgrim. It was a Pilgrim. He ended up dying like recently, like in the last 2 years. But he had a documentary on America's tests of the nuclear bomb, because we know America is dropping. We dropped Fat Boy and was it Little Italy, or the Nola Gay was the plane. We dropped the two nukes on Japan, right? And that was just bad enough. We shouldn't have ever talked about creating more deadly ones, which is what we did. But America's known for that, and that was horrible enough. But they were talking about in the documentary. He was talking about the testing that they did on other countries. They did a nuclear test on islands called the Bikini Atoll, the Bikini Island, and yeah, a bunch of people they didn't warn. A lot of people, it's like the land is still toxic. It's like right in the vicinity of Hawaii, and it was right before Hawaii became a state of the United States of America. Because Hawaii is you go there, it's its own fucking country. They got like their own language. It's an experience you got to have, but it's its own country. It's heavily Americanized. They got the military there surrounding, reminding them that they are like an invaded people. But it's also Hawaii liberation movements, which I'm highly in support of. But right before Hawaii became a state, they were dropping nukes on these neighboring islands, the Bikini Islands. And I think that shit was intimidation to fuck with Hawaii. It was like, yeah, we might test another nuke. And that wasn't considered nuking a country because it was just a test and it was so small. Like, it was like, can we really say it's more than a test? Only a few people died compared to what we did in Japan. But yeah, and it's ironic that this evil baby civilization, a civilization that's been around like a snap compared to Iran, nothing. Iran it's crazy that America feels like brazen enough to tell this civilization that's been around millennia, many millennia longer than America. Um, the hubris um, is painted by a previous dethroning of other ancient civilizations like Syria. Um, and it's just like a whitewashing of the history. That's like one thing I'm just going to be concerned of. It's just going to be, like they want everything to become like Cleopatra, where it's just like, oh yeah, all the ancient Egyptians, they were all white. It's like I can give you parts of Egypt. Like after the Greeks came, the Arabs came around the 13th century. But we talk about foundational, all of the pharaohs, where all of the culture, everything came from. They uh, Israel, the ancient Israelites look nothing like the people who live in Israel. Yes, Persia is the oldest continuously inhabited culture. Yeah, and it's just like we should be like asking them questions. We should have like some humility. Like, you guys have been doing this for a very long time. I'm sorry that we tried to secure Britain's rights to your petroleum and overthrew your democratically elected leadership. Can we learn like how you guys have been around so long? Like, what are you doing right? Because America, we've been here just a couple hundred years and we're struggling. We got fentanyl addicts. We got all this homelessness. We got all the money in the hands of the most psychopathic people. We got issues. Um, that's how we should be approaching the situation. But we're killing their leadership, uh, doing everything to like perpetuate war, death, destruction, because that's what our economy is based on. That's why it's just we can't be surprised to find out that Iran has started killing and abducting our oligarchs. So they already they abducted Joe Biden, uh, Donald Trump Jr. They got Bill Gates. I'm sorry to see him because he was giving so much to the kids with his philanthropy. Um, but yeah, they started getting them, and right now the United States is requesting that we sign up and fight for our oligarchs back. And I'm interested to see who's ready to suit up and fight for Bill Gates. They got Fauci too. They all have issues, but I agree we should. Nate, how you been, man? Grew up watching your Nate's vlogs. Yeah, man. Um, I've been censored a few too many times for me to really fuck with YouTube like that. I still post rewinds, employee evaluations, new and old, over at Rumble, Netflix.net. I'm gonna organize it better. So, because right now it's like you got to search the video or just go through the catalog. I'm gonna have like sections, but I got into live entertainment, so and I got censored of that motherfucker too. Couldn't even mention guillotine in the play I wrote, but Revolution the musical. Check it out if you haven't. Uh, Try to be exemplars. Well, uh, I don't know if our culture is built to tune in on good examples. We hate the threat of a good example. That's why we start seeing like these South American countries. They start getting healthcare for all, having public housing. First, we make fun of it. Then we just overthrow that shit. Uh, it's several examples of just like it's cheap. It's so much cheaper to house homeless people than to have the system where we have now. We have all these mechanisms to control people. We'll spend more money locking you into a prison than we would giving you money on the outside to support yourself. So it's just like we have perverse incentive structures. That's why we have just perverse, fucked up, stupid people. And it's just like other countries, like let's say a country that's been around for 5,000 years more. They got a much longer calendar. Um, uh, if I had access to such a civilization, I would be asking them questions on how we can find sustainability in that and so many more matters. Uh, I can't find the employee evaluations on Rumble. They're there. Uh, well, you guys go into the video. Like I said, I'm gonna set up something where it'll be more convenient. I think also Odyssey, ODYSEE.com/@Netflix. That's got a large back catalog of older videos that were on my Netflix YouTube channel. But it's missing a lot of new stuff because they have limits on uploads. I still remember the free Nate's Vlogs trend. We all got going. They can't censor you. They certainly censored me. They certainly censored me. But I just find new avenues to getting the message through. So it's just like if they won't let me do, I'll teach. And also just got a mentor program where I'm like talking to students who, man, it's crazy how many people want to do what I already did. I was a pioneer in. Started making YouTube stuff. It was no opportunity for money. Matter of fact, it was other alternatives to YouTube. It was like you had like a routine. Then they ended up creating the AdSense program to incentivize people like me to focus on YouTube specifically. And I was funded by the government. That was Google. Google, they took over YouTube. YouTube was its own thing. They invested all this money in it, and it was a big mechanism of control. But it was pretty dope when it was like still figuring this shit out. Because that was back when they used to invite me to these little events. I knew the head of YouTube. It was a lady by the name of Margaret Healy. And anytime I had any issue, I had someone to get in contact with. Then they took her away, and they brought her to over to Google Plus because they wanted Google Plus to destroy Facebook. And I don't know if anybody remembers Google Plus, but they were certain that was just going to be the end all be all. And it's just like, I guess the government, they were like, okay, we're funding Facebook and we're funding YouTube. It's just like, we got to keep like the idea of some separation. Like, okay, at least Google, if they control everything, it's too obvious that it's just like something's wrong. They keep one other option, and it's just like heavily Google infested. So like with smartphones, right? When Android came to the market, it wasn't even Google's product. And what they were trying to imitate, it was like a knockoff BlackBerry. Then, the iPhone came out. But before that, I never thought I would buy an iPhone by the time it came out because they were like making a big deal like that's the world's first smartphone. When I had smartphones for years before that, multiple. I had Palm, I had BlackBerry, I had Windows, I had Nokia. That's like a Linux based something, and I had like a cheap one, but they had like fancier ones. But it was like it was like you had like different options. Then Google comes in, and you think, their motto is "Don't be evil." You think, oh, they're not going to do anything evil. They're buying up the patents for all this cool stuff. I remember when modular phones were coming out, and I'm like, the phone of the future is just going to be like, you can replace the battery, update the camera when necessary. You can keep just the same shit, avoid a lot of waste. Uh, Google bought all of the patents around that. Never heard about a modular phone ever again after that. The patent system, they use it to have a strong monopoly. So it's like they end all competition. And Google, they own patents to shit they didn't even create. And all of the engineers who work there, I mean, you don't know who they are. They signed something similar to Microsoft. Anything you create, Google patents, and a lot of the stuff is not even created there. They get their stuff from ARPA, which became DARPA. That's where they do a lot of defense research. A lot of the shit, internet came from all this funding. But like in the secret, these secret labs where they're telling the people what to make, and big surprise, they're telling them to create some crazy shit. But they're giving them funding uh, to create stuff, and then these other companies patent it. So we pay for the scientists to create it with our tax dollars, with ARPA, DARPA. Uh, they get the patents. Google, and when Google was doing it, they were basically just the government. They started with government funding, and it's just like how does a search engine, because I remember Ask Jeeves, I remember Yahoo, I remember all these other search engines around. None of them ever just started buying everything, became like the number one smartphone operating system, put all other competition out to pasture except for Apple. And Apple, they give you all kinds of Google stuff loaded as soon. So it's like they're present in whatever you buy. And I'm glad to see that there's been progress in the lawsuits against Google. But you guys know I didn't sign on to the class action suit because I'm suing them for $11 billion and $1 billion for every year that they censor me. And I'm not even going to spend any of that. I'm just going to use that to hire Julian Assange and Edward Snowden to go after the people who went after them. That's it. And in homelessness, I'm not going to see a homeless person and not do anything. You're going to have a bunch of surplus homes. Like, that's yours, yours, yours. Because what are you going to do with a billion that you can't do with two? I mean, 2 billion you can't do with one. I mean, all that kind of money, I could live off the interest. So I'm gonna set the example for the other people who got $100 billion rotting in their account. Meanwhile, they're just corrupting the government to make more money because that's their whole. They're so worthless. All they have is money. Rewinding Power Rangers Secret of the Ooze. Yeah, that's probably over there. You're probably looking at my channel, I'm assuming. Prisons were meant to reform, not this form of slavery they are now. I mean, were prisons here really ever meant to reform? Like I said, we are a bastard son of the British Empire. We're not bastard. I mean, we're basically brothers with the British Empire. It's the same shit. Um, our prisons here, they're meant to contain people. They put a lot of political prisoners. A lot of people they were like, you're a problem. We could Fred Hampton you, but we're just going to lock you up. Um, I was, watching Judge Judy. They were like people getting sued over, like a girlfriend paid for the boyfriend's attorney fees when he got locked up for weed. And he was like, they were talking about all this arrest and all this horrible shit that happened to him because of something that's now legal, something that should have never been illegal, naturally occurring. Uh, Meanwhile, while that shit is going on, people being arrested for weed, you had the fucking opioid epidemic brewing. Now manifests as the fentanyl crisis. Just gets worse and worse. And that's what the next vaccine they got planned for you has got opium in it. It's basically heroin, and some of them gonna have fentanyl. But that's how they know they're gonna get people addicted to the boosters. They're gonna have you coming back for more, and then they're gonna blame it on Mexico. Because that's what we do. It's China and Mexico. It's not the corporations that run the news that deflect all blame onto other people who they want to go after with their the other fraction of their hedge fund management. Because it's like they got stake in all this stuff, right? So it's just like when they pissed us off with one thing, they deflect, make you hate someone who has nothing to do with it. And then they use that as a means to use the military. So it's like they fuck you one way, then they point over there, fuck you another way, and it's just like this constant penetration of the system into you, and it's just let this Juneteenth be the day you realize you're free, and to really know you're free, you have to express your freedom and express it in large numbers. I don't know if you could see the vision. That was one of the events I was at when Boeing was going to be showcasing a bunch of their weapons that they're going to be using on Palestine, and enough people showed up, and they did not want to. They had to move it online. They couldn't show off that new technology and get hard-ons for rockets that are going to kill children. So it's just, and one of the signs, it says your hands off Iran. This was like months before any of that happened too. Whatever happened to your MyPix channel? They took down all of my OG channels. So when I was back in 2022, I started getting strikes for my COVID coverage. Because it was that was around the time when it was like, after everyone had went crazy on when COVID first hit, then people started having it, people started getting the vaccines. They had the complications from the vaccines, and they saw people like me who didn't get it. And then like I had COVID for 2 days, and then the people I know who got vaccinated, they had COVID for like weeks or months. Then they got rid of it for a day or two, and it came back worse. So it's like I started like covering some of the findings that they were having, because it was people speaking out, doctors speaking out in Congress and in Senate, and I started like showing some of that stuff from those hearings. I started getting my shit censored more. I did like a video just breaking down World War Z, and it was just so eerie how it connected with what was going on with COVID. It's a rewind of it on Netflix.net if you haven't seen it. But I did that. I got censored. I had like 3 strikes. I lost my main channel, and then I was like moved to Nate's turn, and I started like posting, like figuring out like different things I could post that kind of still get the message across. Like just kind of censor it, use different words. Still got that. I got that channel taken down too. And then once they took down those channels, they just took. I was going to start using my MyPix channel, but then that one got taken down, even though I hadn't posted it in there for there in a while, like years. But I guess it was just like my face. The algorithm had been detected to just shut me down. So they just took down all my channels. No boosters for me. No shots for me. Tired of big government. Man, you and me both. But Um, yeah, that was one of the things I was, discussing with someone, because that was around that time, like when 2020 hit. Like some people started showing their true colors, or like their training, because it was a lot of people. They went to, I hate the people who in this group right here. And like, even when I disagreed with with some of the stuff people were doing, in the onset of COVID, I never was like, I hate you, I want anything ill of you. But I heard like some of the most fucked up shit, and it was and I was like, some of those people still are out here, and you don't see that come out until you have one of those events. But then I kind of feel like people start to get a little more comfortable whenever we have a state enemy, and it's just like I remember when COVID first hit, and was they were saying, oh, you're racist if you think it was made in a lab. It's natural. And it was just like, with that, they were like, it's because these Chinese people are eating bats and pangolins. They're disgusting. They're doing gross shit. Uh, and it was just like, I noticed like uh, the conversation around Asian people changed, and it was just like people were just like, I mean, I would say just Chinese people, because I heard even Asian people just shitting on Chinese people. And I'm like, you should not do that, because really race people can't tell the difference. They don't care. It's just like when 9/11 hit, uh, people weren't like stopping to verify if you're Muslim, you're brown, right? That's good enough. It was like, I had a friend, she was a Christian, but she was Indo-Fijian. So she looked like a terrorist, and she just got randomly punched after 9/11. And yeah, and that's the mindset that we have for the people that we say we care about when we start bombing their country. Um, I don't know if the person who mentioned the fact that Iran is a theocratic dictatorship is still here. That sucks. Those videos still stuck in my brain. Well, I have some of them. I got some of the redneck videos. Those are on my Rumble. Man, it sucks, because it was like, yeah, some of the I want to do like a story time discussing, the history of, how I got started. I was going to bring up some of the really, really old videos, because a lot of people who discover me through employee evaluations or rewinds and shit, they don't realize that shit came years and years after I started. Um, I had already done television and shit like that. Um, but yeah, I want to do something, because I just, one of the things that irked me. Well, I guess more so when I had Nate's vlogs on YouTube. Now I can't see those comments because that channel was taken down. Am I still live? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, it just crashed on the app. Sorry about that. Uh oh yeah. But yeah, all those channel, I have said all that to say I do have some of the content. Wish I had more, wish I had all of it. I mean, That's why I got to sue Google, get my 11 billion back. I'll get y'all videos back, and you can rewatch everything. There's nothing thugs hate more than scheduling conflicts. LOL. Favorite one. I'm having trouble trying to figure out. I realize it's probably an employee evaluation, but yeah, I struggle to figure out which one. I haven't watched a lot of them in a long time. Yeah, and that's the fun part about being me. I run into people who know the lines of the stuff I did better than I do. They watched it repeatedly recently. I haven't seen it in years. I remember asking my mom for money to donate to your channel back in high school. That was dope. I appreciate that. That's one of the reasons why I'm so vigilant about figuring out ways of giving stuff to people for free is because I've been helped tremendously by just kind people who wouldn't know me without this digital experience. Even though I could have been AI the whole time, and I have been. Does not compute. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for showing up, and I want y'all to just stay vigilant. Know your history. They'll take it from you like they're trying to do with Iran. Um, their government is much better than the American government. I don't want the American. My government can't fight for democracy somewhere else because we don't have democracy here. Whoever the corporations tell you to hate, that's who you should love, and hate the people who are lying to you. And I got to go figure out how to get myself some meat. I did not eat at the event I went to earlier, and I've been feeling peckish, and it's growing. I need to satiate. That's why they took you down. You're the first AI experiment. I'm the internet's BFF. And that's like another thing. I'm going to do a video on that shit. I was getting an ad for some kind of a AI. It was like a AI hotline where you would create the anime character that you want to talk to, and then it'd just be like this thing saying lines to you. And I'm just like, how sad are the people who do this, where it's just like, instead of calling and having a personal human interaction, they call and talk to an AI anime character. They got AI therapists, and you can't tell me that's not going to be used to incriminate people. Like, you mentioned something to a robot, the government is listening. Anyways, that's don't get me started. I'm hungry. Dudes are falling in love with AI women. People are sad, pathetic. We're disconnected from humanity, and that's one of the things we gotta reconnect with our nature. You gotta learn how to do stuff that's productive. You know why the pilgrims had difficulty feeding themselves. Just look at all the jobs we have right now that do not help society, right? Think of all the stuff, all the people like if the grid goes down, how many of them are useful? How many of them you talk about the richest people, they just like hitting numbers in a fucking software. I mean, by the time they unplug that, nobody's gonna need a hedge fund manager. No one's gonna be clamoring for that shit if we have a zombie apocalypse. They're not gonna be like, oh, we're the bankers, we're the CEOs, right? And until you have a society that reflects like what you need, like you need food, you need these goods, these people should be compensated first and foremost, right? A living compensation, something essential. You shouldn't have a board of people who no one needs. Like, COVID hits, CEO board of executives, they're not showing up. They don't need them for the company to run. They need them to exploit the company, rob the company. When they're not there, the company's doing better. Right? The people who are essential, their paychecks should reflect that. Um, and it's just like, yeah, we went a long way talking about AI women. But I think a good amount of the issues that we have with connecting with people are the poorest people. They're not um, compensated properly. So they spend all their money. They have no extra money they spend all their time. They have no extra money to go out when they have free time. So it's just like, they figure AI gets them. They need some kind of a connection, and that's real sad. So revolution. You start seeing people fucking AI toasters, and your society is collapsing. Do something about it. And my solution is the revolution. So check out Revolution the musical if you haven't done so already. Peace.